Alrighty good people, I will cut right to the chase today and tell you this video is sponsored, and I kinda really wish that it wasn't, since I think what Dell did with the XPS 13 is pretty crazy. But hey, we have to pay our bills somehow, so I still hope you will understand within the next few minutes that my excitement for this little guy here is genuine. We have seen an early version for this one all the way back in December already, and it was a part of Dell's new strategy to not only bring back the XPS brand altogether, but also making it more accessible and more affordable as well. And just to get it out of the way, if you are a student, you can get the new XPS 13 for $599 US or for about $699 for the rest of us in its starting config. And especially in 2026, having a laptop that makes computing more affordable is definitely a good thing. But Dell did not just set out to build a cheap laptop. I mean, after all, this one still carries the XPS branding, which does come with certain expectations. And boy, you guys are in for a treat, since if you would have put this one in my hands last year and asked me how much I think it would cost, well, let's just say the XPS 13 might redefine what a premium user experience means in this very price bracket. And just to get it out of the way again, you will not get this one, or any of its contenders for that matter, because you want to play games, edit videos, or set records with how many tabs you can have open at any given time. That said, you will probably want to do a bit of everything, and ideally away from the wall for as long as realistically possible. So how about we get into it, since we have a lot to talk about. Oh, and yeah, just to reiterate, this video is sponsored by Dell. Let's do this. To kick things off, how about I walk you through the specifications for the new XPS 13, since unlike some of its competitors, Dell made sure you can tune the sleek 13-incher completely to your liking. So this one right here is powered by Intel's new entry-level Core Series 3, which is based on their latest 18A processing node, but is focused a bit more on the budget side of things. So the Core 5 320 in my sample offers 2 performance cores and 4 low power efficiency variants, so it should still be more than capable enough for anything you would like to do with a laptop of this class. But we will talk a little more about this later when it comes to my more subjective real-world first impressions. The entry-level config also nets you 8 GB of speedy RAM and a 512GB SSD, and as I have mentioned, you can spec this one with up to 32GB of system memory and up to 1TB of storage. And the biggest kicker, the SSD is actually user replaceable, which is a big one if you ask me, especially in this day and age and considering how thin the XPS is. In addition, traditionally, most budget laptops made their biggest compromises, or well, we can also pretty much call them sacrifices in the display department. But once again, Dell thought, how about we change that? And the XPS 13 comes standard with a QHD+ 120Hz panel boasting full DCI-P3 colors and supports a variable refresh rate between 30 and 120 Hz. And it's a touchscreen and it's matte. While we of course have to wait for our measurements for a full production sample, I got to say I'm pretty impressed, and once again, this is a panel I would expect in much more expensive devices. Alright, that's the technical side, so how about we take a look around this beauty right here, and as I've mentioned in the beginning, this is a true XPS laptop through and through, so you are looking at an exceptionally well-made full metal chassis that feels about on par with the XPS 14. And some of you might even prefer this one because of its more traditional looking keyboard deck compared to its higher end siblings. And speaking of the keyboard and touchpad, they thankfully also made no sacrifices here, and you get a tactile typing experience, a backlight, a premium feeling mouse substitute, and some other creature comforts like Windows Hello facial logins and some pretty decent sounding speakers, for example. I also quite like the understated looks, and this puppy will feel right at home wherever you want to have it with you. And speaking of mobility, the XPS 13 is pretty light, coming in at a little over 1 kg, despite that the chassis feels like it can take a proper beating during a long day at uni, in the office, or when doing some hipster coffee shop hopping with your mates. The chassis does not flex, doesn't creak, the lid is incredibly well adjusted and stable, especially important on a touchscreen laptop, and again, with the slim display bezels resulting in a very compact footprint and the clean styling, the XPS 13 feels and looks much more expensive than its initial asking price. On either side of the sleek chassis you can find a USB-C 3.2 Gen 2 for the Intel Core configs, while both will be upgraded to fully featured Thunderbolt 4s should you make the jump to a Panther Lake CPU configuration. And I know this sounds like a significant downgrade, but I was easily able to run the XPS 13 via a 3.2 Gen 2 dongle and connect to a 34-inch OLED. And this one is Alienware's new model, so please check out our preview about it. And also at a complete setup with all the necessary peripherals and even some external SSDs, no problem. Sure, the 34-inch was just running at 60 Hz, but considering you will not run games on it anyways and probably just want the added screen real estate for productivity's sake, this is still quite impressive for such a tiny little laptop. I mentioned the starting price for this one a few times now, and it's probably the config most of the potential buyers will be interested in initially, but I'm sure a laptop with 8 gigs of system memory will raise a few skeptical eyebrows in 2026. And sure, more is always better, but it will also drive the price up, especially given what is going on with the overall memory and SSD situation right now. So how does the entry-level configuration of the newest member to the XPS family perform? Subjectively, it's fine. Of course, you will not be able to do everything all at once, but a couple of tabs in Edge with a YouTube video playing, not really a problem. Editing a few images in Capture One or tuning a thumbnail in Photoshop works fine as well. And to my surprise, I was even able to play Hades or similarly lightweight titles, and such games will be incredibly fun thanks to the colorful screen and quality speakers. And if you want to fully take advantage of both, well, GeForce Now is always an option as well. And circling back to running things locally, you will hear the fans when you push the XPS. But even with my pre-production sample, it never got to a point where it was distracting, and the slim laptop stayed remarkably cool to the touch even when running a game. Battery life will of course also be a deciding factor, since the XPS is made to only be plugged in to, well, charge it. And during my time with this one, I did all of my initial testing so far with it on battery, and it was holding up pretty well. Once again, we have to wait for full review samples to give you our detailed numbers, but Dell is targeting 18 hours of Netflix streaming, which does sound realistic, so I have high hopes here. Alright folks, that should be it for now for the XPS 13. As I've mentioned in the beginning, I'm quite excited about this one and what it represents. And sure, the 13-incher will not be a gamer's, power users or full-time creators' first choice, but it shapes up to be a reliable, everyday, all-day computing companion that enables you to stay online, stay productive and entertained for most mainstream use cases that are a part of our daily lives. A big shout out to Dell for sponsoring today's video, and please folks, sound off below what you think about this beauty. I'm very eager to read what you have to say. Thanks a ton for watching. Please leave a like and especially a sub, since I'm sure we will get the chance to review the all-new XPS 13 quite soon, and you definitely don't want to miss that particular video. Feel free to have a look around the channel for more about tech and laptops. My name is Alex, you have been fantastic as always, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Take care.